A recap of Tuesday's testimony in Diddy's trial. Capricorn Clark took up the entire day of testimony. She is a former assistant of Diddy's and one of 3 former assistants who have testified so far. She worked for him between 2004 and 2018. She was also Cassie's creative director at one point. Much of her testimony centered around Diddy and Kid Cudi. She claims that Diddy had made threats that he wanted to Kid Cudi. So here's a little bit of the backstory. Clark knew about Cassie's relationship with Kid Cudi and actually brought her to Best Buy to buy a burner phone so she could communicate with Kid Cudi without Diddy knowing. Diddy paid for Cassie's phone and also paid for Clark's phone. So she made it a point to not discuss the relationship with Kid Cudi on their cell phones. Here's where testimony got more intense. She said in 2011, Diddy shows up to her house furious. He had weapons on him, saying that she was going to come with him so he could Kid Cudi. She testifies that she was forced to go with Diddy and that she, Diddy, and a security guard drove to Kid Cudi's home. Diddy and the security guard went into the house, and that is when she calls Cassie on the burner phone. She calls Cassie, tells her that Diddy is inside of Kid Cudi's house. It just so happens that Cassie was with Kid Cudi at the time, and she testified that he said, "He's in my house." As we all know, not long after, Kid Cudi's car ends up on fire in his driveway. So they get to that portion of testimony, and she says that when police called her to get a statement, that she just hung up on them. Clark also testified about grueling hours, which is what the other former assistants talked about as well. She said she would sometimes work for him for 24 hours straight or more. She said that at one point she had worked overtime for a 3-month period, earning what would have been $80,000 in overtime pay. And when HR gave him the paperwork to sign off on the overtime money, he just ripped it up. She also talked about a time that some jewelry went missing that Diddy was loaned, and I guess she was supposed to help transfer from one place to another. And she says that she was held against her will for 5 days and forced to take lie detector tests, and was told if she failed, she would be thrown in a river. She worked for him between 2004 and 2018, but it was on and off because at one point she was fired and then she came back. She left again in 2018. And then in 2024, there was discussion of her coming back to work for Diddy again as his chief of staff.